You ever wonder what really happens when two people from completely different worlds try to make it work? Can love actually conquer all? Well, today we're going to do something a little different. We're conducting what I'm calling a relationship autopsy, a real deep dive into a connection that was as passionate as it was, well, doomed. Let's get into it. So at the heart of this whole thing, you've got these two classic archetypes, the CEO and the artist. I mean, their worlds could not be further apart. One operates in a universe of data, boardrooms, and measurable impact. The other, a world of pure passion, messy creation, canvases, and, let's be honest, a little bit of chaos. This clash is the real engine of our story. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at their two separate worlds. Then, how they somehow connected. We'll ride the high of the honeymoon phase, then spot the first cracks. After that, we'll witness the breakup, and finally, we'll unpack the big takeaway from it all. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1. To really get this, we have to understand who our subjects Ava and Liam were before they ever met, the totally separate realities they were living in. This table really lays it all out, doesn't it? For Ava, life is the corner office, the penthouse. Value is something you can measure with data and impact. And money? It's a tool, something you use to build and grow things. For Liam, it's the total opposite. His environment is a paint-stained studio. Value comes from passion, from creation. And money? It's not a tool. It's a source of stress. These aren't just minor differences. This is a fundamental clash of worldviews. And this quote from Ava, it's super important because it shows she's not some one-dimensional corporate villain. She's driven by a mission. When she says her goal is accessibility, not just margins, we see that she actually believes her work, her world, is making a positive change. All right, Section 2. So, how on earth did these two people even cross paths, let alone connect? Let's zoom in on that exact moment their worlds first collided.
Well, it happens in a downtown art gallery. A classic meet-cute, right? Ava, taking a step outside her superstructured life, is just completely captivated by the raw emotion she sees in Liam's work. And Liam? He's intrigued by her. He sees this powerful woman who is genuinely curious about what he does. For a brief moment, none of their differences matter. It's just a pure human attraction.
Okay, on to Section 3, the honeymoon phase. You know, that early stage where everything is just electric? For them, their differences weren't a problem yet. In fact, they were what made everything so fascinating.
And wow, their first month was an absolute whirlwind. It moved fast. You have the first kiss after a cozy little Italian dinner, then sharing wine on her massive penthouse balcony, and then a huge step, her actually going into his world, his tiny studio. They were really trying to explore each other's lives, and it was all so new and exciting.
And this line from Liam, I mean, it just captures that vibe perfectly, right? It's just pure, unfiltered admiration. He's not seeing the CEO, he's seeing her. And in that moment, they probably both felt like their connection was more than strong enough to bridge any gap.
All right, Section 4. Because that honeymoon glow, it can't last forever. Sooner or later, the real world creeps in. And for them, the realities of their lifestyles start to cause some serious friction. The first cracks begin to show. And that really brings us to the core question here, doesn't it? Can that initial fiery passion hold up against the cold, hard reality of their differences? Well, the answer starts to come into focus at a black tie gala.
You see, from Ava's side of things, this is a gesture of love. She's genuinely excited to share this part of her life with him. In her mind, she thinks, why wouldn't he enjoy this? She doesn't quite grasp how completely alien and uncomfortable this world is for him.
But Liam's comeback? Oof, it's sharp, and it's immediate. He doesn't just see it as a stuffy party. He feels like an outsider on display, being judged by people who would never understand him. What Ava saw as sharing, Liam felt as a painful spotlight on just how different he was. And suddenly, that gap between them feels massive.
So we're moving into Section 5. Those little cracks, well, they're about to cause a full-on earthquake. Let's look at the final argument, the moment that was the absolute breaking point. And it all kicks off with something so simple, paying for dinner. From Ava's perspective, this is just practical and caring. She knows he's been pouring everything into his art. She knows money's tight. She thinks she's just being a supportive partner.
But that's not what Liam hears, not at all. He hears pity. He feels her swooping in. Her offer, even though it came from a good place, hits his biggest insecurity dead on. It makes him feel small, powerless, like he can't provide.
And Ava, you can just feel her frustration, right? She is completely blindsided. She is so proud of what she's built, of the hard work she put in. And for him to basically turn her success into a weapon against her, it feels like a total betrayal. She's screaming, "Don't you see me? I'm more than my money."
And then, there it is, the three words that end it all. There's nothing left to say. It's a quiet, brutal admission that the chasm between their worlds is just too wide. The collision is over, and the wreckage is total.
Okay, let's get to our final section, the sobering takeaway. What did this autopsy actually reveal? What can we learn from all this?
So, what's the final verdict? The cause of collapse? Well, the findings are pretty clear. That initial attraction was real, it was powerful, but it just wasn't enough to overcome their deeply different core values. That huge financial gap wasn't just about money, it created a power imbalance that just poisoned everything with resentment and insecurity. At the end of the day, their worlds couldn't merge, they could only collide. It's a tough pill to swallow, but sometimes passion just isn't enough.
And that really leaves us with one big question to chew on, doesn't it? The story of Ava and Liam forces us to ask ourselves what we really want. Is it better to find someone who's a mirror, who shares our world and values? Or is it better to find a window, someone who challenges us with a completely different view? Their story proves there's no easy answer.